Hi, good morning. Welcome to my channel. I am Thomasin PA 2066. Today is 25th of February 2023. I'd like to bring forward a topic called State Planning Authority, and in specific to Sarawak. So let me begin. Hi, 145 video taking on a topic called State Planning Authority, SPA Sarawak. Sometimes it's called State Planning Unit, but the usual word that we use is SPA. Sarawak, we call SPA State Planning Authority. Sometimes the SPA is also being used as a sales purchase agreement. But here SPA we are talking about in this video presentation is State Planning Authority. I'm Thomasin PA 2066. Today is 25th of February 2023. So the common question asked about this State Planning Authority is what exactly is the law that is behind this, especially when we're dealing with land, where it is in the land law or the land court that says that there is a State Planning Authority. It seems that everything is decided by the State Planning Authority. So what exactly is this State Planning Authority? Which department does it belong to? It's like when we pay our taxes, we go to the Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri, and we know that this Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri is under the Finance Ministry, because it is a Ministry of Finance Kewangan that collects taxes. But then where is this State Planning Authority? Is it under which department, and why is it under that department, and how the authority, this authority body affects the dealing of the land, in this case the land related matters. So let us go into this topic. So the law of the land and how it affects you, in fact, is very much in different jurisdiction. In Sarawak, it's under the Sarawak Land Court. So how it affects you when you are an inhabitant, you are actually staying here as a citizen of the state, so it's in the citizen as on Malaysia, and also a citizen of Sarawak, and therefore whatever you own in the state of Sarawak is controlled by the law that is in the land, and also the assets and the buildings that is above it. So we see a lot of time we talk about Majlis Masyarakat Kerajaan Negeri. So if you go to the land court, you always read these two terms. One is Majlis Masyarakat Kerajaan Negeri, and another one is the State Planning Authority. So sometimes we thought that they are the same agency or the same body. So I want to make it clear, as in the case that Majlis Masyarakat Kerajaan Negeri in fact means the State Cabinet or the State Cabinet meeting, because Mesyuarat is actually meeting. So this is an executive body which governs the state. We elect our state assembly, as in Parliament for Sarawak, and in West Malaysia, this state representative are the EXCO. So in Sarawak, they are the state ministers. So these state ministers, they form a cabinet, and this is a cabinet we call Kerajaan Negeri, Majlis Kerajaan Masyarakat Kerajaan Negeri. In West Malaysia, the EXCO in the Undangan Negeri is actually they all elect the one that has most confidence to lead the state assembly. That is the Menteri Besar. And in East Malaysia state, or in the state that inherited from the British rule before, colony of the British, in Penang, in Malacca, in Kuching, and in KK, we have the capital, and these are the places where we have the state assembly under the chief minister. So it's not called Menteri Besar, but it's called Chief Minister, Ketua Menteri. And the Ketua Menteri for Sarawak, as we now call Premier in Sarawak. So this is the so-called setting whereby Majlis Masyarakat Kerajaan Negeri in the land court means the state government cabinet. This can be seen in the Sarawak State Land Court. So you can see on the part here, I have a box out. Any person or body not referred to in paragraph A to E approved by the Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri. So this is an example. The other one as a box also, the Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri may, by notification in the Gazette, declare such an area to be a special development area. So this special development area is like in Johor, the places development area, which is the Forest City. The whole area is gazetted as a special development area, and therefore the land that is being gazetted to be under this area would be governed by a separate so-called system, which is decided in that sense for the benefit of that development area. In Sarawak, there are special development area whereby it's given to the different authority like Bintulu development area, and all these development area actually allows a foreigner to come in to do investment. So these are also facilitating for foreign investment. But generally, the overall rule, the land, the land court that is governing the land in the state would have to be the authority to follow apart from certain places that is special development being gazetted, then they follow a special system. So what is the State Planning Authority? When we know that is different already from Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri, where is in the law that says that there is a State Planning Authority. So what exactly this is, and who are the people inside this State Planning Authority, and you can see and appreciate the so-called influence and the power this state body has to protect the benefits of the state. So the State Planning Authority, SPA. So we always say that the developer, they need to propose a plan, a development plan, and then draw up plans, everything, and then go to the State Planning Authority, go through various departments, and then this State Planning Authority would be the last to approve them. So if they cannot get it approved, then they cannot launch their project. So they say that the State Planning Authority very powerful, and in order to have the connection in cable, they call it a big cable. So you need to know so and so, and this so and so is one that block or so-called block the approval. So this is of course understood as hearsay, and we want to understand what exactly is this State Planning Authority. Also for Sarawak Land Court, it is actually mentioned in the State Planning Authority as in Section 228, Establishment of State Planning Authority in the Land Court. So here you can read, there shall be established a State Planning Authority consisting of the following members: the Minister as Chairman, the State Secretary as Deputy Chairman, the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry for Resource Planning. So here is specific, Ministry for Resource Planning. And the number D is the Director of Lands and Surveys, as well as the final one, which is E, not more than 3 other members, of whom 2 shall be public officers whose public duties are relevant to assist the State Planning Authority in the discharge of its function, to be appointed by the Minister. So here is clear saying that the Land Court provides that the establishment of a State Planning Authority, and this State Planning Authority would have its function. And later on we'll see function as on Section 229 of the State Planning Authority. So at least first we have to understand who are the people composition of the State Planning Authority. First is a minister as a chairman, and the minister is which department? The Minister of Resource and Planning, and then the minister would have his permanent secretary of the ministry. So his permanent secretary to the ministry would be the permanent secretary. And then the State Secretary, which is the state top administrative person, so the person who is not an elected member of parliament, but he is the top person running the administration of the state. So this State Secretary as the Deputy Chairman. Then the other part will be the Director of Land and Survey, because Land and Survey deals with the land, as well as 3 others members who are related to be appointed to assist this State Planning Authority. So Permanent Secretary to the Ministry for Resource Planning is the Secretary to the State Planning Authority, and this is the very powerful position where all the meeting, all the minutes are written out by the Secretary to the State Planning Authority, and he is also the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of the Resource Planning. So later we'll see the types of ministries and what are the current ministers and also the permanent secretaries that are in the Sarawak State. Okay, we jump to the function. See the function in the website as well, but to capture your attention will be the 229, the function of the State Planning Authority. We just do the first 4 to plan, regulate and control the development and use of all lands and buildings in the state, to consider and approve subject to such terms and conditions as it may deem fit to impose plan for the subdivision and development of land. And this is the major one when development needs to get approval, when the developer has a plot of land and later on need to subdivide and do subdivision, so that the individual unit is given the individual parcel title. Then this part is actually subdivision. So all this subdivision and development of the land for commercial or whatever development needs to go to the State Planning Authority. So they are the most powerful in the sense to approve or not to approve your development plan. So of course this is a lot of time, a lot of stories and hearsay. Then number C, to determine the location and siting of government building, public utilities and facilities, and the siting of new towns, villages, and this is more like planning job for the eventual infrastructure of the state. Number D, to formulate policies and guidelines for and to give direction to local authorities with regards to the use and development of land within their respective area of jurisdiction. So of course the second one is the most heard about among the real estate people. So this is the Minister and the Permanent Secretary. For Sarawak, the Resource Planning Ministry is called the Kementerian Sumber Asli dan Pembangunan Bandar. So the English version will be Urban Development and Resource Planning. So this is led by the we call the Premier, the last time the Chief Minister, Menteri Besar in West Malaysia, but Ketua Menteri in Sarawak, now called Premier, our Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Johari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg. So this is the Premier of Sarawak, and the second man who had been the main person behind the resource planning is the Awang Tengah, Datuk Ahmad Haji Awang Tengah, and then the Deputy Minister is another Deputy Minister is the Len Talib Saleh. So in fact, Awang Tengah and Len Talib Saleh, they were the people behind the previous Premier, the previous Ketua Menteri, which is Taib, for the most of the control of the land and the forestry. Also, he is Len Talib Saleh is now also the Deputy Minister for Urban Planning, Land Administration and Environment. Then you have the Permanent Secretary. So this Permanent Secretary is more like a technical person. Is Datu Surveyor Haji Zaidi bin Haji Mahdi, also in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Urban Development. So this history of the name that is called for, how do you call this ministry also changes over time. And the Permanent Secretary past and the present now, until now, 2019 to current now, is this particular Yang Bahagia Datuk Surveyor Zaidi bin Haji Mahdi. So the ministry in the Sarawak government, as a glance, if you look at the Wikipedia Cabinet of Sarawak, we have the Premier of Sarawak, Deputy Premier, Ministers in the Premier Department, and then we have the Finance and New Economy, we have the Natural Resources and Urban Development. So this is the one that I want to highlight. This is boxed out as the Ministry of Natural Resources and Urban Development, and this is the ministry that handles land. Also, of course, land is the state matter, and the most important area for a chief minister or premier to control, and therefore he, as a premier, also is the minister. Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Johari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, our Abang Jo lah. Our Abang Jo is the minister, and then you have the deputy minister who is Awang Tengah, and therefore in the sense that this has been the case, Awang Tengah has been there in the resource planning for many years, even during Mahmud's time. Although we also have a Ministry for Public Health, Housing and Local Government. This is the same like in West Malaysia. You have the Kementerian Perumahan Kerajaan Tempatan. This is the same thing, which is the Public Health, Housing and Local Government. In the West Malaysia setting, the new current government is YB Ngakoming, and previously during PH government it was Zuraida, and now it's Ngakoming. So the thing is that it is different as in control of the land. The land is not under Perumahan. The land is under resource planning in Sarawak, and the Perumahan is just about how marketing is done. So if you are a developer, you go to housing department to get your promotion license, the permit to ADPL, advertising permit to be approved for your advertising. But the land transfer and the land dealings, you need to go to Resource and Urban Development Ministry under the premiership of our premier. So this is the name change, establishment since 1965 to the current time. The current time is called the Ministry of Urban Development and Natural Resources. Previously it was called Natural Resources. It was called Ministry of Planning and Resource Management. Different name, but the same purpose, to control the power in the hand of the state, as in matters related to land. Right, so the function of the ministry, just to box out, you can see I actually box out the area of law, that is the function of the ministry. Land Court, Chapter 81, the Land Court Development and Subdivision of Land, Land Surveyors Ordinance, Land Use Ordinance, Building Ordinance, Strata Title Ordinance, Mining Ordinance, Forest Ordinance, Forest Rules. All this is under the Ministry of Urban Development and Natural Resources. So this is a very powerful and influential department or ministry of the state government. Of course, led by the Premier of Sarawak. So what are the objectives of the ministry? To optimize the usage and protect the natural resources of the benefit of the social economy, protect the flora and fauna, and revive and redevelop all areas affecting logging, timber, to plan and protect land use, mineral resources, benefit of the people, planning and urban and rural development through holistic approach. So the main part is a lot of time involved with real estate developers. Okay, then on the services that is found in the website. So I just want to attract your attention to the main service that involve land development for the agents. Processing, preparing comments, recommendation for the consideration of State Planning Authority, because State Planning Authority is under the ministry here, under the ministry to be led by the Premier, because the Premier is the minister in charge of the resource planning, and then you have the Permanent Secretary of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry to become the Secretary of the State Planning Authority as well. So these two big, powerful positions is held by the Minister of the Resource Planning. And the part here is, of course, land subdivision and change of condition for housing development and more than 40 units, commercial, industrial, and so forth. So here it controls the developers. And just to highlight also, to add establishment of State Planning Authority just now, a function of the State Planning Authority here, as we have gone through, function of the State Authority. Number 2, consider and approve subject to such term and conditions when it for the subdivision and development of land. So the Land Court provides a lot. I don't want to go through for the area of subdivision and development. So you can go there and read. Like Section 231, whenever any proprietor proposes to subdivide land or to develop land, 6 copies of a plan of subdivision or the development of in Form Q showing whatever need to be submitted to the State Planning Authority to get approval. Without this approval, you cannot develop your land. Approval for subdivision, period of approval. So all these are related to the State Planning Authority. Okay, conclusion. State Planning Authority, as you understand, is provided in the law in Sarawak Land Court as in Section 228. Establishment of State Planning Authority, who are the composition of the State Planning Authority law, involving the minister in the Ministry of Resource Planning. And we have also another housing ministry that we were talking about as in a case of controlling the marketing side of the promotion side of the housing, and then do more of housing as in the physical house. It's not so much on the land. Land is all under resource and urban development. And who is who? We've gone through those minister and the important person in Sarawak setting, and what are the functions and objective of the State Planning Authority as well as the Ministry of the Resource Planning, development of land, subdivision and redevelopment as well. Thank you. Just to highlight that I have a few websites on the online self-study, the diploma in estate agency under estateagentexam.com, and the 2 website or listing platform, contract2u.com as well as findway.info, and the video and the write-up collection in My Real Property Online. Thank you very much for coming to my website and also to my channel. I'm Thomas Sim PA2066. This is my mobile number and the website addresses for easy reference. Thank you again.